the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Matt.
Chris, I can't believe we did it. We outlasted Quibi.
We did it, man. That was our career goal from the very start. We saw the Quibi business model. You're like, you know what? We could do better than them. We'll start podcasts, and we will outlast them.
We started before Quibi.
Oh, we did. Oh, I didn't know.
We did. And then Quibi is down today, so we have existed as a podcast conglomerate longer than Quibi has.
There you go. Well, and that is something to be proud of and hang our hats on. Regardless of comparing ourselves to a global entertainment conglomerate, like you said. So what's the story of Quibi again? I feel like I know it's like these 7-minute like video show episode things, but what was?
I think it was supposed to be very mobile specific.
Okay.
And also like get some celebrities involved, and again be very short shows, like 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know like Drake and like Chrissy Teigen and like a few other people were involved.
They also did like a fucking low budget Princess Bride.
Okay, interesting.
Where a bunch of actors just like in their houses shot a bunch of scenes from Princess Bride.
Okay.
I think Joe Jonas was like the lead or something. Like,
was it some dude staring into a webcam and just being like?
No, he was recording with his fucking phone or something.
You killed my. What is it? You killed my father. Prepared to die.
My name is Ingo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepared to die.
Like he's just staring into the fucking webcam. I will feel bad for the. Let me look it up here.
The 15 people who watched things on Quibi.
The revival of Reno 911. I'm gonna feel the most bad for those great people over at Reno 911. It is a shame, but at the same time, it's like this is a casualty of no one being able to leave the house and viewers actually being able to view things on their phones, meaning like. No one had a use for Quibi. I mean, maybe even in a non-pandemic world it would have been like this, but the fact that no one was leaving the house and no one was actively like wanting to seek entertainment on mobile, like it's
you know how much data costs?
Yeah,
like
it's a lot. It's not worth it at that point. I get it.
Yeah, the Venn diagram of people who would watch Quibi and people who could afford to watch Quibi the way that Quibi was intended, it is almost two separate circles. It is a very thin oval of a Venn diagram.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think a lot of people kind of out of the gate were making fun of it. I was never someone.
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. That's how little I care about it.
No, it's definitely Quibi because now I saw so many YouTube commercials of it prior to its, I guess, folding. It never interested me, and I don't know how. I obviously was not the only one because it shut down. And rest in peace to Quibi. Welcome everyone on this sad morning day. We were overcome with grief, but we'll move forward with the podcast as per usual. So week 6 in the books. Week 7, dead ahead. We are nearing. I mean, it's hard to believe, but we are nearing the halfway point.
Yeah, so our official halfway point is after week 9, where we redo all of our picks, including Super Bowl predictions.
Do we do it after week 9, or is it?
We do it after week 9 because our reasoning was all of the teams have now played half of their games.
You're right. Fair enough. Okay, yeah. So So week 10 show, because this is technically our week 7 show. That week 10 show is going to be our halfway point, revising anything that we've screwed up during the off season. And boy, do we have like scrambled eggs all over our faces.
Oh boy. Oh, looking at the playoff teams now. Oh my God, we fucked up.
But
AFC still looks okay, but NFC, oh God.
Yeah, no, we got some things that we gotta adjust here. But we'll get there. So look forward to that. Today we're going to revive a beloved segment, and when I say beloved, it's just between me and Matt. We love this. You know what's weird is back for first time in season 2, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a preview of VBBFL Week 3, which we expect to be kicking off this Saturday. We'll let you know, of course, what time and everything on our Twitter, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the segment. And of course, we will be picking games for Week 7, but of course, we start things off with a recap of Week 6, the 3 games that stood out to us in 3 categories, starting with Game of the Week. The Houston Texans went to Tennessee, ended up going up on Tennessee pretty substantially, right? It was like double digits.
Oh, it was, yeah.
And then the Titans came roaring back, forced overtime, and won the game. And once again, the offense proves to be what's guiding this Titans team to being undefeated, and they also have some concern on defense right now, but nonetheless, they are 5-0. Your thoughts about this game?
You kind of nailed it all. I think that the Titans offense, both passing and running, are just maddening.
Mm.
And in the best way possible, where the Texans are. They're trying, man. They're trying.
Yeah, I think the Texans they're back to being competitive. They're still, but the one thing though that is still an issue for the Texans is just they have Watson, and JJ Watt's playing pretty well right now.
Yeah,
but there's no other stars on this team.
Yeah, they've got a decent receiving core in terms of their receiving core has actually like stepped up and is gelling with Watson.
Yeah,
but nowhere near on the level of Hopkins.
Right. Yeah, that's continuing to haunt this team overall, and like I said about Tennessee, I think the big concern right now, especially going into this week against the Steelers, which who we'll talk about in a second. I think it's just, for the Titans, it's just their defense. It's not. Yeah. It hasn't been very good all year. They've been able to win games, and they've had their moments of, they have some pretty solid play from a few players here and there, but overall the unit hasn't worked as well as they'd like. And that could be something that they address, because guess what else is near? Guess what's happening on fucking Election Day? The trade deadline.
Yeah.
Is also on Election Day.
No, it being on Election Day is terrifying from a world event standpoint, but also the entire NFL gave their team facilities off on Election Day and also did not change the trade deadline. So
yeah, if the world can't be chaotic enough, like the NFL is just like, hey, you know what? Let's just look at the world and how absolutely batshit nuts it's gonna be when when Election Day happens. We're gonna make our own organization a hellhole because we're gonna be having a trade deadline. Like, most likely what's gonna end up happening is that the trades are gonna happen like the day before, or something.
That is what's going to happen, but it's still funny to me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So yeah, speaking of the Steelers, our blowout of the week was the Browns at the Steelers. Oh, Browns, baby.
Oh, Browns.
You had your opportunity.
Yeah,
you had your.
I'm getting good at picking Browns games, I guess.
you're on the money right now.
Yeah.
The Browns have, they had this opportunity to show that they could compete with the top, and unfortunately, even though they beat the Colts the week before, they could not even touch the Steelers. On all phases, the Steelers absolutely ran up the score on the Browns. The defense had their way with Baker Mayfield. The run game that was so prominent in the first few weeks, or the past few weeks for the Browns, was just non-existent. But the Steelers defense, Ben Roethlisberger, Chase Claypool, and the Steelers offense as a whole, everything's starting to click for the Berg. What's your thoughts generally?
Pittsburgh is a really hard team to beat. Probably one of the hardest to beat in the league right now. Obviously, they're fucking undefeated. And for the Browns, I'm sure a lot of it was dealing with Baker Mayfield just not being at 100%.
Sure.
But it still was nothing coming from them.
Yeah.
So
it was a big disappointment, and I think that this is like basically their run of success, which was, they won every game after the Ravens game. It was Ravens and the Steelers that gave the Browns the most problems, and everyone else in between the Browns were able to take care of. So this is just something to watch now. Moving forward, the Browns are going to go back onto an easy schedule. They have the Bengals next, but they are going to have to face the Steelers and Ravens again, and they something needs to change for them. Something needs to improve. Obviously, Baker Mayfield's health is going to be of concern right now. Hopefully, he gets better, but just generally, the team has to look at what they did the last few weeks, or the first week and now this week, and be like, what in the world can we do to improve? So this is just evidence the Browns are far away. Now, the Steelers, like you said, a dominant team, and I'm this to me. And we're going to talk about the team that we thought was the best in the league. I think right now, I respect what the Seahawks got going, and we talked about the Titans already. I think the
Seahawks are great. Seahawks don't have nearly the level of defense that the Steelers have right now.
Right. I think the Steelers are the best team in the league as it stands right now.
I agree with you.
As it stands right now. And maybe we're placing a curse like we did on this next team we're going to talk about by saying that.
You know what? I'm totally fine cursing these teams.
Yeah. Our chaos of the week comes from the Tampa Bay area. My goodness, is Tampa Bay, the area of Tampa Bay, having a year.
Aaron Rodgers meet a defense.
Everyone everywhere sucked this year. But the Tampa Bay region had it pretty good with their Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Rays, being in the World Series right now. As of this recording, I know that they've only lost one game, so maybe things are not that great. Maybe they lost two now. But they are also have a Tampa Bay juggernaut that is could steam into February and host the very first the first team to ever host a Super Bowl.
That'd be wild. This would be the year where that would happen, obviously, because
of the world.
Everything is.
Yeah. So the gist is that the Green Bay Packers, like you said, met a very tough defense in Tampa Bay. It started out well for the Packers.
10 up.
Yeah.
10-0.
Yeah, they were up 10-0.
And then Aaron Rodgers decided to Higgle McCringleberry and just give two thrusts.
Got two thrusts, tried a third looking through the official, but of course, if that third thrust came through, it would have thrown a flag, and it would have been even a messier day. But the mess that was not there initially, oh boy, did it come in full force as
the pick six on one drive, and then an almost pick six on the next. It was unlike Aaron, and it made me very happy.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay defense and offense on all phases of the ball in all phases, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took it to the Green Bay Packers in a surprise, chaotic victory.
I almost did that as my team chaos too. There were a couple games yesterday that I almost team chaos that might have turned out well.
Yeah. So just generally, what's your takeaways, between these two teams? What's your thoughts moving forward now?
This is not a death sentence for the Packers. I just think they finally were able to meet a team that could deal with them correctly.
Right.
And I think the Buccaneers, especially at full health, are going to be one of the. They're going to be up there in terms of best teams in the NFC for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. Like I feel like Tampa, we went in trying to temper the expectations that were happening out there, because I think both you and I were like, I don't know, like I feel like it's rough to think that this 43-year-old quarterback is going to, where I may be aging him more than he is. Is it 43? I forget what his age is.
I don't know. Let me look.
Regardless, um, Brady.
43.
Okay, yeah. So 43-year-old quarterback and Rob Gronkowski, like bringing these two guys in and thinking the offense was going to spark was. It was, of course, we know who these legends are from New England and knowing that they're going to have the success, but it was hard to state, whether or not like it could translate into a completely new team. And for the first few weeks, it seemed like that. And as of literally last week when they lost to the Bears, it was like, are we sure that this team that everyone has been hyping is going to be able to stay at a consistent level? And this was the first game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had where they looked like they had everything together on both sides of the ball against arguably who was the team that was the least likely to lose another game this year. Like the Packers looked great, and so it is surreal. And I commend Tampa Bay. I think that it's just an insane victory, and yeah, like you said, the Packers. This was a speed pump for them, and I think they'll bounce back. But I think if this team is at a risk of slowing down, the questions that we had going into the season might start to resurface. Not so much that I do think that their success to this point had been very deserved compared to maybe last year, but
they need to draft another quarterback in the first round before the season ends.
Right.
To make Aaron Rodgers angry.
Yeah. Just, by the end of the year, they're in the Super Bowl and they have like 14 young, talented quarterbacks sitting behind Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, they make a phone call to Trevor Lawrence and then play that phone call to Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Yeah, being like, he's gonna take your job next year, Aaron.
He's gonna take your job.
He's gonna be. In fact, he's gonna leave school. And he's going to be starting by December, okay? So
you gotta
get your ass together. But no, yeah. So like we said, like we're going to start to question again. Like, are the wide receivers good enough to stay up to task with what Aaron Rodgers needs? Is the offensive line going to stay intact? Is the defense going to stay in good position? So all those questions will resurface. But right now, it's just a speed bump, and we'll see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, so many. It feels like a lot of conversations around a lot of teams keep ping-ponging back and forth week to week.
Yeah,
and it still feels too early to draw any absolutes from a lot of teams. There are some that you can, in the sense that the Jets aren't going to win a game this year.
No, yeah, that's a guarantee.
I think that's the only absolute you can draw from any team in
right.
this league right now.
Yeah. No, yeah. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Any other thoughts from week 7 that you wanted to bring up before we get to what's weird?
Let me look through.
Because I mean, there were a few interesting games, a few interesting upsets. I mean, Falcons got their first win of the year.
Yep.
You
went against your strategy.
I went against my strategy for that one.
Paid the price.
And paid the price in a big spot.
Cowboys! Cowboys look so bad.
The Cowboys were in very rough shape. The Broncos upset the Patriots. That was a big game. We'll talk about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of interesting games. The Chiefs pretty handily took it to the Bills. It was a pretty solid game from them. To bounce back.
I think it was close-ish for like 3 quarters, and then the end of the game happened.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely, the score looked closer than the game really was overall.
Yep.
Near as like you said, especially near the end, and the Giants are no longer winless.
You go.
That healed the burning blue in my heart. For a little bit. All right. Well, that's kind of like the gist of it, but we'll kind of talk more about some of the weird things that happen, because folks, the NFL season tends to be very strange, and it's a week-to-week proposition of what the fuck the hell the shit is happening.
What was the heck was the what?
What is happening in the league. And so sometimes we just have to sit back and say, hey, Matt, you know what's weird?
What's weird, Chris?
The Patriots are in 3rd place in the AFC East after week 6.
That's pretty weird.
It's very weird. It is surreal to me that the Bills, I mean, of course, are on a 2-game skid, but are still sitting at first place right now, and have the Jets this week, so they have a bounce back game ahead of them. And then you do also have the Dolphins there too, and we'll talk about the Dolphins in a second. Are we just itching towards worrying about New England and their chances at the playoffs after all these years? Like, are we?
I think we do need to worry. It's definitely a worry. I don't know if it's a condemnation immediately, but it's definitely a worry.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary situation indeed for the Patriots, that they lost to the Broncos, who aren't too bad, but it's not good. It's not good to lose.
Not a good team.
It's not a good team to lose to. On top of all the teams to lose to.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Chris, you know what's weird?
What is weird, Matt?
The Miami Dolphins, speaking of the AFC East, are going on a bye this week.
Yes.
And then they're starting their new quarterback Tua, despite being on a win streak.
Yes. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that, like, in any situation that would make sense, okay, the bye week comes, and then you switch to your new quarterback that you just drafted, get him in there, and doing good. But Ryan Fitzpatrick has been playing really good football lately, and has been winning games for you, and then you're just gonna bench him when he hasn't, because usually it's Ryan Fitzpatrick has a catastrophic incident.
Sure. And
maybe they're just trying to do that before that happens. But my man Ryan has had like a full season dating back to last year, and then now this year, where he hasn't fucked up. My man Ryan. He hasn't fucked up, and now like you are in the playoff hunt, and you're gonna switch to this new quarterback who's gonna have a lot of question marks still. It could go he could be like Burrow and Herbert, who he has a good starting point, but you just don't know. And I feel like the Dolphins, and especially against the Rams and Aaron Donald, you're gonna throw Tua out there against Aaron Donald. For his first start.
Yeah, it is pretty weird, because like I will say this: there was a scenario in which this happened before that I'm sure people have heard about since this happened, as like one of like the few when this rarely does happen. With Kurt Warner, who used to be, who's of course more known as being a Rams quarterback and a Cardinals quarterback, but he was once a Giants quarterback as well. In the year of 2004, that happened to be Eli Manning's rookie year, and Eli was considered to be a redshirt quarterback. But after the Giants started 5-4, they decided to put Kurt on the bench suddenly, out of nowhere, and start Eli, and they sucked for the rest of the year. And so, but Eli ever since then, and I mean, say what you want about who Eli Manning was as a quarterback, but he said that year kind of helped him. It helped him in his growth, being able to have that opportunity to start, even though that the team was in a relatively decent position with Kurt Warner. But regardless, it's still pretty freaking weird to see Ryan Fitzpatrick, as good as he's been playing, go on the bench. A little surprising. Yeah. You know what's poignant and not overbearing?
What's that?
The NFC East. Because it is poignant in the sense of it is so fitting for a division that continues to that always is seen as like the marquee division of the NFL, that gets all the ratings, gets all the glitz and glam and glory, to be sitting in a position where the team with 2 wins after 6 weeks is your number 1 team. And
that is really weird.
Yeah. And it's certainly not overbearing, because no NFC East team to this point has been overbearing in any way, shape, or form. On any other NFL team, for that matter. Do you...
Legitimate question.
Sure.
What is the win total of the NFC East winner at the end of the season?
Like a prediction? You know what? I'm gonna say 7.
You're gonna say 7. Okay.
That's
I was gonna
a
go
high
with
watermark.
6.
You were say 6. I mean I think it's gonna be higher than probably what like a 5-11 team. Like I think that people may. I think we're gonna see one of these teams get it together. I don't know who. I don't know who that's gonna be. I don't know. I cannot point a finger on any of them right now.
If you want to talk bold predictions, my bold prediction is that the NFC East will only ever win games against other NFC East teams this year.
Okay. So all right. So here's the thing then. If we're looking at a 6-win, let's say a 6-win division title, that means the Cowboys are probably the only one that could do it at this point because to that point, the Washington football team, the Giants, and the Eagles have all lost to an NFC East team at this point.
Yeah.
So, all right, Cowboys, you got your edge, in your little divisional battle.
They got that one out of division win against the Falcons, and I think that's going to be the only one this year.
Well, and the Eagles won against 49ers. Let's remember that too.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another very strange one, but that was that was the Nick Mullins meltdown. Does anyone know where Nick Mullins is? I don't know. I think he got wiped off the face of the earth. But yeah, it's weird though. The NFC East very strange, very weird, but it's poignant.
Yeah, you know what? You know what else is a little bit of a fucky wucky?
What's a fucky wucky?
The Rams. We started the year 4-1, and that was really good. We were like, okay, this Rams team has got some oomph to it. And then they take on the 49ers, who are not an NFC East team, and they lose. And then you remember and you look back and you see that the Rams' 4 wins this year are all against the 4 NFC East teams, and it's just hard to it's hard to judge how the Rams are as a team because it almost feels inflated due to their opponents.
And forgive me because I don't know much about European soccer, but it kind of reminds me of a team that has done well enough that it was regulated into the Premier League, if that's a thing.
Yeah, so I believe that Premier League in the UK, how it works is at a certain point, all the bottom teams in the top league go down to the lower league, and then the top team, I don't know if it's team or teams, but the top team from the lower league goes up into the top league.
Okay. Yeah, so like to me it makes me think that the Rams got to the top of their like minor league almost. Beat everyone in around them, and I don't know, someone in the top were so bad that they got deregulated or whatever the fuck, and then the Rams moved up into the league, and upon facing their first actual opponent, they
crumble.
They just crumbled. Yeah, they just
and during their other loss, they almost crumbled and then had an insane comeback. So,
right. That was like the first, like they were, the European soccer is very weird. They got regulated after one loss, and then they had to keep on facing those shitty opponents, and then they got their chance again and lost.
It's wild.
Yeah, and it's we'll see what happens with the Rams.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's weird, but in the way that like it uncorks my nipples.
I never want to hear that expression again, but go ahead.
The battle of 5-0 teams is not the teams that we predicted.
No,
and
it's not.
And that's why I use that expression, because it makes me so happy. It makes me thrilled to see 2 new teams representing the top of the AFC, and that is the Steelers and the Titans this week. And I'm very much looking forward to this game, even though, because I live in the New York area and everything in New York can suck my dick, the Jets have taken away this game from me and replaced it with their game against Buffalo, where the Buffalo will just cream them.
I'm looking at the coverage map right now, and the entire fucking country is red, except for green Ohio and blue New York.
Yeah. So that's the shame of having shitty teams in your area, is that they take away the good matchups. But regardless, the Steelers and Titans, they get me excited, man. They're two teams. They're two fun teams to watch in their own little ways. And it's just fun. It's weird. It's so strange to not see the Chiefs and Ravens be in this kind of position, but instead it's the Steelers and Titans. I guess you could say the Chiefs and Ravens already had that time back in Monday Night Football a few weeks back. Where they were both, I believe they were both undefeated at that point.
They were,
but this is a whole nother stage. This doesn't happen very often, and usually the team that wins this game has a direct shot at the Super Bowl, apparently, according to some NFL next gen stats.
Interesting.
So
it's
interesting.
It's also interesting because I had a point. What was my point?
About the Steelers and the Titans.
Yeah. What the fuck was I going to say about it?
You were going to say something about the 5-0, about the quarterbacks.
I remember. So it would be interesting if this game went to a tie, where both teams would still be technically undefeated. But that's not going to happen because both of these teams are coached insanely well.
Yeah, we hold. I've always held Mike Tomlin on a pretty high standard.
Yes.
I've always liked him. I felt like he's a very good coach.
I do not like the Steelers. I like Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, but who I think deserves a ton of credit.
Holy shit,
is Mike Vrabel, and as someone who
that 12-man penalty last week
was brilliant, right?
Yeah,
there has not been a very successful Bill Belichick tree, and I think this, and we said this about Bill O'Brien, so I guess take it with a grain of salt, but this might be the sole coach that Bill Belichick will be able to hang up on his mantle of being this is a coach that I did a good job with and groomed well and has been successful, and I think will be successful in Tennessee for a very long time because it's working out for the Tennessee Titans on that front.
Hey Chris.
Yes.
You know what gives me sexually transmitted lycanthropy?
Oh my god. You were worried about what I just said. I'm a little worried about what you just said.
I just thought of that to try to outdo you.
Oh, okay, all right. That's what. That's valid. That's valid. All right. Well,
anyway?
I don't know if this is a private conversation, but you know what? We'll air it. It's all good. We'll take it for your.
The Bears are 5-1 in winning the division.
Yes, indeed.
No one thought this was going to happen. I didn't think this was going to happen. And it obviously came to it had to happen with the Packers loss, but the Bears are 5-1, two of which were insane comebacks, historic comebacks. Two of them were pretty managing the game, and then I forget what the last one was.
Was it the?
It was the Bucks. It was the Bucks.
Yeah.
Where that was kind of a back and forth.
Well, that was a comeback too, wasn't it?
That was a comeback. It was, yeah.
So that's three comebacks.
3 comebacks, 2 try not to blow it's. And we're sitting at 5-1. And we haven't had a ton of tough opponents, to be fair.
Sure.
But we haven't had extreme slouches either. Except the Giants.
You beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that just put to a 28-point win over over the Packers. So there's something to be celebrated in that.
Totally.
It
is insane to me that the Bears are at this point, and I legitimately see a path where we keep winning games.
They absolutely could. The offense continues to be a capital P problem, but but their defense is helping them, and do you think that this? And just because I feel like you watch this team more than I get a chance to, do you feel like this defense is at the point where it was in 2018, or at least, it's enough to get the wins, but do you think it's at that level where it's that good again?
I don't think it's quite there.
Okay.
But you're starting to see the turnovers. You're starting to see the attacking the quarterback a lot more.
Right.
We're starting to see a lot of what we saw in 2018, And I think that the more that happens, the better we're going to be. And it's not like it's not just the same players either. A lot of players are doing it. Quinn and Mack and Hicks on the front. The Robinson Harris, who just got his first interception, and Kyle Fuller and Eddie Jackson are all doing great with the turnover department.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got a lot of good players on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and there was one play in the Panthers game where the game is one score less close if the questionable pass interference call doesn't happen.
Sure, yeah.
So
it's you guys are in good shape, and it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I think it's gonna be hard.
This team is making the playoffs. I don't know if we're going to keep the division win, but we're making the playoffs.
I think I could say with certain. I don't know about certainty though, but I could say that's a pretty that's a very fair take at this point.
We get to face the Vikings twice,
right?
The Lions and the Jaguars down the stretch,
right? And that's your 9 wins right there. That's definitely that could probably definitely. I would think that would be enough for a 7th seed at the very least if you can't win the division.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. The offense, like I said, it's still very much worrying me. I think what was it like they had like just barely above 200 yards in the Panthers game.
That and the Panthers game was the first time we had scored in the third quarter.
Yeah. There's some concerns there, just a little bit, but no, I don't want to take it away from you though, because I think that there is a defense there. You're 5-1 out of it. When I think that we could really say, like, for sure, for like put a stamp in it, like put it in Sharpie at this point, where I would say that the Bears are the most chaotic team of the NFL this year.
Absolutely, it fills me with joy.
Who knew that this was going to happen? Like, it's just is thoroughly impressive, and it's weird.
It's weird.
And that's my like, exasperated transition. We move forward here. Before we get to the picks, want to do a quick little deep dive into the VBBFL. Tell you guys how we're doing. First things first. If you have not seen the past 2 weeks in which we have done the VBBFL, I finally got around to uploading both VODs of the games. So we have week 1 and week 2. They're about 2 hours each, so put some time aside. But whether or not you want to even just fast forward through it just to see how it all goes, we have a lot of fun. We've had people come through during the stream and chat with us while we're doing the dice rolls. We had some very fun bits, such as Jigglypuff popping. And I feel like the Katamari rolling up the field to get the extra point. You know, there's been a lot of fun moments that we have crafted through this. But this week we have go ahead actually, Matt. Go ahead and reveal our matchups for week 3.
Sure. So our matchups for week 3 are going to be East Chicago at Mansfield. In Phoenix City at Perth Amboy. This is an all-division week, but all these games are going to be in division.
Yeah, it's also the first Battle of the P's.
Yeah, Battle of the P. Phoenix City at Perth Amboy. And then we also have Escondido at Anaconda and Brainerd at Weatherford. So a lot of in-division matchups going to have a lot of implications down the line. And we'll see... Trying to think which one of these are going to be the best matchups. Escondido Anaconda is going to be a great offensive matchup.
Yes, I was thinking, I'm like on the when I was not as much of a big fan of sports, I used to just go off of colors, and so I was like Anaconda Escondido is the best because it has purple and pink matchup. I'm so excited. Anaconda Escondido is like you said, it's a solid offensive matchup. Not as terrible of Escondido doesn't have as terrible of a defense as Anaconda, but it's going to be an interesting offensive matchup.
I just looked. Perth Amboy and Mansfield are currently our 2 undefeated teams.
Yes,
and I'm looking. They don't face until week 8. So we'll
Yeah,
see if they can
yeah.
remain undefeated until then. I doubt it, but there's a chance.
Yeah. Perth Amboy will be taking on Phoenix City. Now, Phoenix City, that's the story I think of the first few
Yeah.
weeks here. Because as Mansfield and Perth Amboy, there are two undefeated, and Anaconda is one of our winless teams, but Phoenix City has lost in ways that we just are never expecting, and I think part of it's because they have the worst bad ball handling and bad defense, but they've lost. Their opponent has scored 41 points back-to-back weeks, and they only got close last week in a 41-22 loss.
Yeah, they have, despite having such a good offense, they have trouble hanging on to the ball and therefore cannot score points.
Yeah, it's and they have to go up against one of the best teams in the league in Perth Amboy next week, who has just been brilliant when it comes to the ball handling. Just has handled that situation very well. It does not have a terrible defense as well. So we'll see about that. Mansfield, you said, is facing against East Chicago, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a more balanced team versus Mansfield. So it's gonna be a similar matchup to last week when Mansfield faced Brainerd.
Which Mansfield came on top for that. But
yeah. Quick question, because I'm trying to look at the schedule. When does East Chicago and Brainerd face each other? Do we know?
East Chicago and Brainerd face. Looks like week 9.
Oh man, we have to wait. That sucks, because that's going to be the most even matchup.
Yep.
Of
absolutely
of the year when that comes down. But yeah, so Mansfield's going up against the 1-1 East Chicago. That'll be interesting. And let's not forget about Weatherford Sheriffs and Brainerd Paladins, both sitting at 500. One of them is going to get a winning record. One of them will have a losing record when it's all said and done. And Weatherford has been scoring a lot of points, scored 28 and 35 in their first two matchups, and so they'll be going up against they scored 40. Brainerd has had like a rubber band type situation where they were 42 points in the first week, then went against Mansfield and scored only 7 points, and so this is a rebound against the Weatherford Sheriff's defense that is -6, so we'll see about how that all goes. So stay tuned for all that. We'll figure out an order and we'll let you guys know around what time. And we could talk about this off podcast, but I might have to do it earlier today, but we'll see.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And we'll keep you all posted.
Indeed.
VBBFL week 3. All right. Let us get to Let's get to the picks. I believe I go now. I always forget how this works. Do I start odd weeks?
I don't think we've had anything concrete.
I thought we had. I was trying to keep track of it this year. I believe we've been going back and forth.
Okay. Either way, week 6.
Yes.
Should recap first.
Oh yes, let's do that. I always you know what, it's maybe
this is what you forget.
Yeah, I forget that, and it might be part of the reasons why, because I'm not doing well. That might be, maybe there's something ingrained in me where I'm like, I'm gonna ignore this because I don't want to reveal my poor choices.
I went 9-5 for week 6. Got my chaos run guarantee correct, moving to 59 and 31 total, with 27 points.
Yeah, 4 points from this week.
Yeah.
And I went 8-6. The Cardinals Cowboys had a lot on the line, because if I won that game, I would be tied with you, I believe.
Yeah.
If not, maybe even in the lead. I'm not too sure. But I got my guarantee and Team Chaos wrong for the second week in a row. And so I did not get the full 2 points that I would have deserved. I got only 1 point. So the standings, like you said, 59-31 and 27 points for Matt, 57-33, 22 points for moi. All right, I'll kick things off. Off because it's my team. It's my team. Yeah. Thursday night football. The Giants. Look, I'm weirdly excited about this week generally. I feel like there's a lot of good matchups, and I think this is going to be an ugly ass matchup, but I think it's going to be interesting because it is arguably for a division lead. It could be, it very well could be, even though both of these teams have only won once. The Giants, of course, coming off their first win against the Washington football team. The Eagles, coming off of a close loss to the Baltimore Ravens. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, the Eagles played a lot closer to the Ravens than I think a lot of people expected them to.
Sure.
Still a little bit frisky. The problem is congratulations, Carson Wentz. You are the last offensive starter who is not out with an injury.
Boy. That's rough, man. That is a rough time, my dude.
Yeah, but he's getting it done with the other people around him. They're gonna miss Miles Sanders, of course, but they've got Boston Scott. And I think the Eagles will come away with a win in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the reason why it might be close is just because, and I'm not trying to put the Giants defense on it's the best defense in the league, but no, I'm all I'm saying is that James Bradbury, Kyle Frackle, all these random defenders have all of a sudden stepped up to make the Giants unit at least a little bearable to watch compared to past years, and could put up a little bit of fight against a depleted offensive line and Carson Wentz, who's just his favorite word is sack at this point. But I'm going to pick the Eagles as well, just because the reverse side of things is that the Giants' offense is awful, and the defensive line for the Eagles is the healthiest on the team, and they are good. They're very good, and that's always been a bright spot for the Eagles. So, Eagles it is.
Cool. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons. Both teams coming off of a win. Atlanta, their first of the season. The game is in Atlanta. How do you think this matchup is going to go?
This was a tough one to think about because I'm trying to weigh what happened in the past. The Lions, came out swinging, had one of their more complete games against the Jaguars. But the Falcons deserve some credit too. I mean, that was another team that came out swinging and had an all-around good game for the first time this year. And I think that I'm going to give the edge to the Falcons here just because I think that Matt Patricia has an inability to kind of keep having consistent wins from the Lions. And I hate, in a way, I hate picking the Falcons because they're going with the gradient uniforms this week. But I'm going to just go with it, and I'm just going to hold my nose while I do it.
Okay, so this is going to be a conditional pick for me.
Okay.
If Julio Jones plays, I pick the Falcons. If Julio Jones does not play, I pick the Lions. Okay. Matt Ryan has shown this year that if he does not have Julio Jones, he is not playing well. So I really need Julio there in order to make me want to pick the Falcons. And if he is there and good, then I'll go with the Falcons. If not, I will pick the Lions.
Okay. All right. So
and he did not practice today, so right now I do have the Lions selected. However, we'll see how the rest of the week goes.
Sure, absolutely. It's a little early in terms of knowing for sure, but I totally understand the hesitation and the conditional elements of that. For sure. Next up, the Buffalo Bills. Maybe this is the one game I'm not excited about. Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. I mean, look, the Bills had 2 rough games in a row. People are starting to question Josh Allen again after his MVP start to the season. And their defense is under a big old telescope because they've been not good whatsoever.
A telescope?
What is it? Binoculars? Whatever the fuck.
Microscope.
Oh boy, microscope. I have the I think I have good analogies, and then I all of a sudden I'm reminded oh no, that's not at all how the analogy goes whatsoever. Chris, you're pulling things out of your ass, and it's great.
Oh god.
So it's a microscope. The defense is under the microscope.
Because they're inspecting it very closely.
Yes, but
not trying to look at it from afar.
They're looking through it through some sort of scope. Regardless,
I feel bad for laughing so much.
No, don't feel bad. It is kind of deserved. But yes, what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to stop talking.
Bills.
Now. Okay. Yeah, I'm going Bills here as well.
If the Bills are under a microscope, the Jets are like outside of the science lab in the parking lot being poked at with a stick because that's how much the scientists care about what's going on.
They're like, it's like the one rat that like failed all their testing and is now just just fucking dying. I'm decomposing. That was the word I was looking for.
Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in the Battle of Ohio.
Part two.
Part two. How's this matchup going to go for you?
You know, so the Bengals had a good game last week until the Colts came roaring back with a 21 point from a 21 point deficit and killed the Bengals' hopes and dreams. I look at the Bengals and I want to pick them in this game, but I think the Browns are going to be able to adjust this week. I think that it happened. This was literally, it's kind of a repeat of history. The Browns just lost to an AFC North opponent in an embarrassing fashion and now get the opportunity to face their lesser AFC North opponent in the Bengals, and they'll take care of business this time. I'm going to Browns.
I'm going to agree with you. Bengals are I want the Bengals to win so badly. I want them to get another win. They deserve it. They're going to get there, but it's just not the time yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys at Washington Football Team. Both of these teams coming off of brutal losses. Washington Football Team probably could have had a shot if they decided not to go for two to end the game, but they decided to go for two and they lost. Meanwhile, the Cowboys just got brutalized. They just completely were destroyed by the Arizona Cardinals in their own home stadium, and things are looking bleak for both franchises, but maybe there's a spark of hope in this game for who, Matt?
We're talking about like the chances for these teams to get wins and how many wins that they'll have against other opponents.
Sure.
I think that this will still go the Cowboys' way. I still think the Cowboys are the better team. Leighton Vander Esch gets another week back. Andy Dalton gets some more time with his team, and I think they'll be able to take the win, even if everyone hates the coaching staff there.
Yeah.
Which is another can of worms.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing that came out this week. Even despite all that, I do think the Cowboys are going to win it.
Yeah.
I think Washington they just don't have the talent on either side. I mean, I will still say that their defense puts up a fight, but it is still like this team is just not really able to be. They're competitive, but it's not to the point where I think they could win even these closer games in this matter. So I think the Cowboys will take care of business in this one.
All right. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers coming off their first loss of the season, going to the Houston Texans, who so close to knocking off an undefeated team. How do you think this matchup is going to go?
Oh man, I have to go Packers here, right? Like this has to be their bounce back game. Do I think that with how competitive the Texans were last week that they could put up some fight in this game? Sure, but you have to think that the Packers are going to adjust under these circumstances. I don't know, like. Did they even lose back-to-back games last year? Or
probably not.
You know, and that was their like more not as good year. I mean, this was a brutal loss they're coming off of. I think they bounce back strong.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a tempting chaos, but I don't think that. I think the Packers are still a wholly better team than the Titans. It's not a divisional game, and the Texans' defense compared to the Buccaneers' defense is Swiss cheese.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a rough one. Like you said, it's the Packers game to win. Next up, the Carolina Panthers at New Orleans Saints. A nice little NFC South matchup between two teams that are trying to compete to get back into or just try to get into the lead of the division. With the Buccaneers currently sitting there, pretty strong. The Saints coming off a bye, Panthers coming off of the close loss to the Bears. What do you think is going to happen?
So the Saints finally get Michael Thomas back.
Indeed.
After being out with injury and then being out for discipline, they will have Michael Thomas back. That will be a boost to the offense, which has just been the New Orleans Chimeras. The Saints defense is really good. The Panthers haven't been playing well against good defenses. I'm going with the Saints as much as I would like the Panthers to upset this here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I imagine... I think that a lot of the reason why the Panthers lost on Sunday was because the offensive line couldn't hold up against the Bears' defense, and that could be a problem again for the Saints. Or for against the Saints, I should say. I'm going to pick the Saints, and I'm guaranteeing it, though.
All right.
I like the fact that Michael Thomas is back for this team.
Me too. Next up, we have the undefeated 5-0 teams, Pittsburgh Steelers, against the Tennessee Titans. This is going to be quite the matchup. This was the game that was postponed, the first game to be postponed.
Yes, indeed.
That now we get to see play off. Both these teams coming off of a strong win and a close win, respectively. How do you think this matchup is going to go?
It is a tough one. I'm going to be annoying because I'm going to do my usual shtick here. What's the best unit in this game? I think it's the Steelers defense. What's the worst unit in this game? The Titans defense. I just think right now with the way, I know it's a road game, and I'm pretty sure Tennessee is one of the dozens of teams now that have fans in their stadium, so I understand home field advantage bullshit. I understand. But I do think the Steelers come in here with a plan. They execute it, and I think the Steelers will be the lone man on top of the AFC wins all said and done.
I like the pick a lot. You know who else I like?
Who you like?
Derrick Henry.
You like Derrick Henry?
I like Derrick Henry. This is a riskier pick for me. I'm not putting any modifiers on it.
Totally understand.
But I like I like the Titans a lot, and I think that Mike Vrabel is such a good coach that he'll be able to get them here. Tannehill playing out of his mind since he started last year, and it hasn't slowed down. From a fantasy aspect, Tannehill has been the number 2 quarterback in fantasy since he took over last year, only behind Lamar Jackson, even beating out Mahomes. Granted, Mahomes was injured a few games, but still. I like the Titans a lot. I'm going with the Titans in this matchup.
Yeah, I respect it, and I think it is going to be fascinating because this is going to be the hardest team that either of these teams, but I was going to say specifically the Steelers, have faced this year. I think thus far was it the Browns that was like the super hard, like wasn't that their hardest team that they had to face to this
Probably.
point? I have to go back to the schedule, but I'm pretty sure that was the case.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a test for the Steelers. Can you continue to remain consistent now against a team that is right along next to you, if not potentially better than you? We'll see how it goes. It is the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals next. So this is a battle between Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson. We saw these battles last year. Could be a fun game, could be interesting, especially with the Seahawks' defense not being as good and the Cardinals having as strong of a performance as they did last week. What do you think is going to happen?
So I don't know why I do this to myself.
Okay.
But for the second Seahawk game in a row, I'm going to pick against Team Chaos against them.
Okay.
Because I'm still worried about the Seahawks secondary with Jamal Adams being gone. I just did a search and this kind of this validated it in the sense that Jamal Adams is still going one day at a time with his injury.
Sure. Which
is concerning, and I think that the Cardinals are going to be able to do well enough. And there's going to be a point where the Seahawks lose. And I'm trying to predict it. I'm trying to find the point where the Seahawks lose. I haven't found it yet.
Could be this one.
There's still my NFC Super Bowl team. Like, I'm not anti-Seahawks, but
Right.
I'm trying to play the game here, and I'm going to choose the Cardinals Team Chaos.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm picking the Seahawks here. I completely understand where you're coming from on this one, because I do think that the Cardinals have they have proven that even without Chandler Jones on their defense, they were able to kind of beat the defensive front. But it is a tough offense to go up against, and I can't root against that. So I'm just gonna go Seahawks right now, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs against the Denver Broncos. Denver coming off of a win against New England, and Kansas City, pretty good win against Buffalo. How do you have this matchup?
I have to go. I have to go Chiefs here. I as much as I want to, sit here and be like, like the Broncos, they're starting. They got Philip Lindsay who has been playing very well, and they have Bradley Chubb on the other side who's been playing very well. But those two guys are not going to be able to carry this team against the one of the best teams in football. And I do think the Chiefs are back. They have bounced back. And I think they'll take care of business.
Yeah, same here. All the same arguments here.
Yeah. Next up, Jimmy G's back, baby, in New England for the first time since he's been traded.
Revenge game
from New England. And of course, the things have changed in New England with Cam Newton now being a quarterback since Jimmy G left. But of course, this is going to be a big game for both of these teams, as the 49ers are looking to avoid being labeled a up and down team, and the Patriots are looking to avoid a 2-game skid in October. What do you think is going to happen?
This is going to be probably the closest game of the week. It definitely is, other than maybe Steelers Titans, according to the ESPN Pick'em.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of luck with guaranteeing close games the past few weeks, so I'm going to continue doing it and guarantee the 49ers because I am enjoying. They have been up and down, but I feel like a lot of that had to do with injury, and they got some injured pieces back. They lost a couple more, and Shanahan is a great coach.
Yeah. I hate this because I didn't Team Chaos the Patriots, so it's not a Super Fucko.
Not a Super Fucko.
But I completely understand these arguments, and I understand that the Rams, the fact that the 49ers were able to beat the Rams, and now are going up against a Patriots team that has just been in rough shape. I think my confidence in the Belichick coaching staff is just a little too high, and I think if they know a quarterback, Bill Belichick, he wanted Jimmy G to be around. He wanted him as quarterback, and he knows Jimmy G. He knows every little thing about him. And I feel like if there's any team that could dismantle a quarterback, dismantle Jimmy G like a bit by like on a major scale, I feel like it's going to be the Patriots in their own building. And I like the Patriots here to bounce back from a very strange week 6.
Cool. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Los Angeles Chargers. Both teams with only one win, yet they feel like two completely different teams. How do you see this matchup?
Everything about the Jaguars sucks.
Yep.
Their offense sucks. Gardner Minshew sucks. Their defense sucks. Everything about the team, the coaching staff, owner, the owner's family, the coach's family, the players' families, they all suck. Sorry.
Wow.
Everyone around the organization sucks, and Justin Herbert is going to have a field day coming off of a bye, and just tame the Jaguars in a big old fashion. I'm going Chargers.
I'm going Chargers as well. I think that they are going to be going to do well and actually get a win in their win column and have it feel good.
That was so aggressive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
I was on a roll, and I was just like, I'm just gonna now double down even further. Anyways, Sunday Night Football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders coming off of a bye after beating the Chiefs a few weeks ago. They now go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is in a big spot. The Buccaneers now looking to try to repeat what they did last week against the best team, one of the best teams in football, against this Raiders team. What do you think is going to happen?
This was actually a really hard one to pick for me because both teams feel like they're on and up. It's a John Gruden revenge game.
Indeed, it is.
Many years removed, but still.
Yeah.
I really like how the Buccaneers defense is playing. I think that Todd Bowles deserves another head coaching job when it's not in the green hole that is the Jets.
Definitely.
And I'm gonna stick with the Buccaneers. I like the Raiders a lot. This is not anti-Raiders, but I'm gonna stick with Bucs.
Yeah, no, I feel like the Buccaneers are probably going to end up winning this game. But here's the thing. A few weeks back, I successfully picked a Raiders team to be a Team Chaos in prime time when no one else was expecting it, even though I myself was saying there's no way this is going to fucking happen by picking it anyway, and it did happen. I think that this Raiders team coming off the bye is going to be able to be able to go after the Buccaneers in an unexpected fashion. I think that they're going to end up shaking things up a little bit with their offense being a lot more solid, have a lot more weapons solidified than the Packers. Sorry, Packers, but it's just right now the Raiders are looking like a stronger offense. A little worried about the offensive line because I think all 5 starters got put into like a COVID protocol. So that's maybe where I'm like a little bit like, oh man, I don't know about this pick, but I'm gonna go with it. I feel like in the Battle of Pirates, the Raiders are gonna be rating the Buccaneers feel good story. So,
all right. And lastly, I hate that I have to be the one to introduce this one. Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears, the 5-1 Chicago Bears, don't you ever forget it, take on the 4-2 Los Angeles Rams. I don't know how this game is going to end up because both teams just seem to be in a weird spot where you don't really know what they're like.
Uh-huh.
So who are you picking, Chris?
I don't know, man. I hate this one so much. I hate this game.
God.
You know why I hate this game, though? It's not just because it's hard to pick. It's also because the Rams, I don't know why they keep on putting this game in prime time, because it's always the most ugly. It's always, like, it's not fun to watch in any way. I hate to keep on doing this to your Bears.
Listen, I get it.
I picked against the Bears so much that I get paid for it every single time. It feels like, or I have to pay for it. I do the reverse there. I'm gonna go with the Rams because I think that they will be able to overcome whatever travesty that was last week. I feel like in their building they're going to be able to kind of come back, and I just think Aaron Donald can have his way with this offense. It's gonna be a low scoring game. It's gonna be a close game, but I do think the Rams, kind of like how they did against the Giants, I think will edge out the Bears here.
I'm gonna run with my NFC Rams can only beat NFC East teams theory until further notice.
Okay.
And go with the Bears because with how the Rams play against even decent defenses, their offense has a hard time getting things going this season. And I feel like the Bears are a team that has really shut down offenses, and this year especially really made it hard for quarterbacks to do anything. And you've seen Jared Goff not be able to do anything before, and how bad the Rams' offense has been.
No, yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
100%.
So, going with the Bears.
Really, if Julio Jones is out, we're going to have 6 disagreements this week.
That's amazing. And terrifying. It's
terrifying because, my goodness, this has now become no wonder I'm excited for this week. This is now turning into a completely, like, either you put me in the ground or I come roaring back, or just a balance of the two, because it could be even.
Could be 3-3.
It could be
how many points do you have right now?
It was 20. I'm at 22. You're at 25 right now.
I'm at 27.
Wait, what did I just say?
You said 25.
Okay, 27. That's what I meant to say.
Leading by 5.
That's what I meant to say. Yes.
That's what you were thinking.
Yeah, leading by 5. So I am down by a few games right now, but it would take me at this point taking 5 of the 6 games in order for me to I think come back.
Getting team chaos, I get my guarantee wrong.
Right. Yeah, those are there are a few factors, and that your guarantee was against a team I picked against.
Yes, so that's very good for you.
That's but there's
little fucko.
It's a it's a little fucko as a treat. as a treat. But
the ball boys can have a little fucko as a treat.
Okay. Wow. So it's gonna be a fun week then. So that's 5 matches on Sunday, 1 matchup on Monday night that could, maybe push the scales either way. But my goodness, this is gonna be a big week. And like we said, folks, this Saturday, stay tuned for information. We're going to be streaming VVBFL Week 3, and we'll prepare ourselves for what will be a giant week in the football landscape, through and through. Any final thoughts before we go tonight?
Go vote.
Yeah, that's true.
Go vote.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be. We have one more podcast before the election. Go vote, please.
Please save us. Save yourself.
If you guys have the ability, I really hope. I mean, everyone has the ability to and should have the ability to vote.
If you're American, obviously.
Yes. And so please, if you're able to figure out a way to do so, it is massively important. And there's a lot of shit that's on the table. There's a lot of shit. I mean, we could go through it, but I don't want to waste anyone more of your time. But it's this shit. The United States is a pile of shit, and we gotta clean it up with some Dookie soap. All right, we gotta clean up the Dookie. All right, so clean up the Dookie and fill out your ballot, and submit it so you get rid of the Dookie. I can be inspirational, guys. I swear. But yes, thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in, and we hope we can be some sort of distraction during all these very scary times overall. And with that being said, we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.